You were given the best fight of your career at junior middleweight by Madrimov. Who gave you a tougher fight than Madrimov? Stop that. And now you're... Who? Someone gave you a tougher fight than Madrimov?
Listen, if y'all thought that was a tough fight, then woof.
Well, you've been beating the hell out of most guys you've ever fought. He gave you a good fight. Now you're skipping middleweight. No rehydration clause, nothing.
All right, man. So you got Max Kellerman. He asked, Crawford about Madrimov. Also, you had, Crawford Canelo telling Crawford not to run again, and Crawford, I'm gonna run upside your face. And they had the push. So I'm gonna talk about those three things. So yeah, the whole thing about Canelo saying don't run, or we should fight in a smaller ring. Don't run. Yeah, Turkey, we should get a smaller ring. Just let you know that, they don't have answers. They don't have an answer for Bud's movement. And if I'm Bud, I don't care what the world say. This is possibly my last fight. Win. And they try to do that, and Devin Haney fell victim to that, letting Ryan Garcia get in his head. Bud is a mentally strong fighter. And what Canelo got to understand, he can plant that seed for the judges and all that stuff, and that's cool. I'm not mad at him. He can plant that seed for the judges because, that's going to work in his advantage. So you do what you got to do to win at the art of war. I make sure this thing was on. You got to do what you got to do to win. I'm not mad at him, right? But really, what you have to understand is the fighter that you're fighting. You got to do your homework. And I think a lot of these fighters don't really love the game. I hear so many trainers saying, oh, I didn't watch that fight. Or it was somebody saying that they didn't watch. I think it was Bomac saying he didn't watch the William Skull fight. And I'm just thinking like, fuck is y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? You at least want to watch. I don't really understand, and maybe eventually will. Trainers not watching footage. Like that's one thing I really want to understand. I feel like fighters should watch footage. NBA players watch footage. NFL players watch, but nonetheless, that was crazy to me when he said that. But yeah, you gotta understand to get the Bud, you gotta hit Bud a couple times. And Bud gonna want to come back and recklessly get his. You ain't gonna be able to talk Bud out his game plan. But what you can do is touch him up a little bit, and he gonna want to touch you up. You know what I'm saying? So this whole thing, I think Bud, this whole movement thing, Canelo can't stop guys from moving. I think he's too lazy to exert the energy. And I think Crawford, his game plan is just finding a way to move, but also be offensive. Mayweather did it. Roy Jones did it for a career. But at 37 years old, can he move that much for a whole fight? That's the question. And really what you really want to do is you really want to establish yourself with as less movement early on and then down the stretch. And Canelo ain't got great stamina neither. That's something that nobody talking about. Canelo ain't got great stamina. That's a fact. Canelo, maybe a Bud can set a great pace. That might just do it right there. Maybe a Bud can set a great pace. That might do it, but he ain't Canelo trying to be in his head. But the only thing Canelo's really doing is, in my opinion, the only thing he really doing is setting up excuses. He's setting up excuses. So that's how I look at it, in my opinion. It's your job. You knew versus William Skull. Versus Caleb Plant, you was able to cut the ring off. And Caleb Plant, like I said, he not as good as a mover or as strong as William Skull. That is what we can agree on. He ain't as strong as William Skull. So, but so be it. That is what it is on that aspect of it. He just trying to get in Bud head. That won't work. I think the best thing to do is land some punches on Bud, and then I think Bud would oblige you and get into a war. But you trying to speak Bud into a war, I don't think that's gonna happen. At 37 years old, I think peer pressure or being talked into something is pretty much dead. Now, Kellerman asked him about Madrimov. It was a tough fight, and everybody, to me, it wasn't a tough fight. Madrimov fought a cautious fight. I ain't mad at him. Because every time Bud touched him up, Bud hurt him. That's why I said, man, I don't be really listening to what people be saying. And nobody has seen Madrimov fight before then. And you don't really see what Crawford did. Crawford took away his best shots. Ever since I seen that Felix Diaz fight, when Crawford had issues with defending against the looping right hand. Madrimov, he was known for the looping overhand right and the looping uppercut. And I broke the man footage down. Might be on the Patreon. I broke his footage down. And I had concerns in that fight about Crawford, because he threw a lot of, he would feign and throw a looping shot here, and they were really, really effective. And one thing I noticed about Crawford is his defense is, like, if he wanted to be, his defense is impeccable. He took away Madrimov's best two weapons, and that was his looping overhand right and his looping uppercut fight. His looping uppercut. He took away those punches like that. And that was my concerns. And he took them away. And every time he put more than one punch together, whether it was jab right hand, jab left hand, he hurt Madrimov every time he touched him with consecutive punches. Sometimes he hurt him with one punch. You know what I'm saying? So it was hard for him to find his rhythm. He had to defend against, Madrimov's looping shots. So he kept his hands in position to defend against that. But when he ran his hands, they were accurate, and he hurt Madrimov. Every time he touched Madrimov, he hurt him. That's why Madrimov didn't close that gap. He closed the gap on Virgil at the end of that fight. He never closed that gap on Bud. Every time he came in versus Bud, and he got touched, he got hurt. He got hurt. So really, it's just that whole thing where people don't like Bud, and if y'all feel like he lost that fight, I feel like Canelo lost Williams' skull by far. Canelo struggled against William Skull, and why didn't Max Kellerman? I didn't see him ask him, maybe he did, but why didn't Max Kellerman ask him about struggling with William Skull? Why he asked him why you ain't get Dmitry Bivol back? See, that's the thing I got a problem with the media. Y'all could be happy to see Max Kellerman back, whatever, fuck him. Don't really care. I don't have no issues with him, but just like, fuck him, who cares? And my whole thing about it is, they sit here and they love to ask the black people the tough questions, But why you don't ask Canelo the tough questions? About 5 of his fucking compadres popping hot. You know what I'm saying? Why we ain't asking him about, hey man, why you ain't rematching Beagle? Why you ain't fighting David Benavidez? You fighting this blown up welterweight? Just keeping it funky. I'm just keeping it funky. You know? Why your last few performances look like trash? You arguably lost that skull fight, but you know why it wasn't popular for them to say he lost that skull fight? Because they control the media. They making sure they don't no Canelo disrespect and you can't ask him this questions and that. Man, dude, that dude lost that skull fight. He lost that skull fight. Let's keep it funky. You know, nobody want to have that conversation about him losing that fight. So why don't you ask him about losing that fight? How about you asking him, hey, what you gonna do to cut the ring off? You got to cut the ring off. What you gonna do about that? That's my issue with it. Keep it a bean. Canelo ain't earned the right to be above, you know, be above criticism. He hasn't. He hasn't. You know, but so be it. So be it. So then you had the altercation where they pushed each other. Of course, that was staged. They got to get some sizzle going for the fight. You know, of course, that was staged. They don't really dislike each other. It's not bad blood. They told them, hey, we got to get some back and forth going. I just feel like if they're going to have respectful press conferences, keep it. There ain't going to be no drama. They went back and forth in this one. They spiced this one up a little bit. I guess in Saudi Arabia, they had to be a lot more respectful and all that type of stuff. So I get it. But, yeah, they got to spice it up. Of course it was staged. You know what I'm saying? Larry Holmes drop kicking, was it Trevor Burbick? You know, what my man's Riddick Bowe putting hands on old buddy. You know, put hands on old buddy at the press conference. You know, that sells fights. Controversy sells fights. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, of course it was staged. You don't dislike each other. And of course, y'all gonna latch on to it. You know, y'all gonna latch on to anything right now. I hate people that they want to cut in front of you and then go slow, and I'm gonna cut right back in front of you. Like, come on, man. Don't be cutting people off with a big ass straight truck, and you gonna come in front of me going slow as hell. I don't get that. And I like when they drive, they cut me off like that. And I cut them off just like that, real close to their ass. Fuck them. They do that whole ass shit like you really going faster than the next car. Don't y'all hate that? A car be driving behind the car behind them. They be like, well, I'm just going so much faster than them, and then they still going slower than right. Get the fuck out the way. Get out the way. Get on my nerve. But that's all I had to say, man. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Push your chance. Get notifications. We go live. We drop video. Hit the link in the description. The first link, the link tree. Find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Amazon, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you girls and guys think in the comment section. Check out the Boxing News playlist. Peace.